Here's, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
These players actually,
Yes.
they hate lag.
They do.
Almost as much.
As you hate hitting the
button.
start button.
Yeah.
Well done. Well played.
Here we are, guys.
Yeah.
Gumiho in the bottom left-hand corner. Going to be our Orange Terran player. He is from Team FXO. And he's currently down 2-3 for his team against this guy, TSL Hyun, in the top right-hand corner, who just broke the tie. We'll see if it's going to be 4-2 or 3-3 after this match. We have had so many close series recently here at IPL.
Yes, we have. And, the one that stands out most to me, of course, came down to the very last game. One of the best Game 9s that we've had was last week when we had the first match to see who would actually make it into the finals of the IPTL, and StarTail just barely squeaked out an advantage over MVP in game number 9, and that was a ridiculous game.
It was absolutely insane. Life coming away with that was just, and the real thing is that Sniper was playing so incredibly well throughout that entire set. I did actually hear Sniper has been having some incredibly good performance as of late, though. Was it an all kill? What exactly?
He's made it through the round of 16 Code S too. So, but oh yeah, I mean he did have an all kill in IPTL, but I forgot who it was against. And I actually think, did Hyun just pick up on that proxy barracks? By the way,
it looked like he was actually out of range.
Oh,
yeah,
just out of range.
Barely missed it, but it looks like what was a proxy 1 is now turning into a proxy 2 Rex, which is just so much more scary. A lot of times we do see players hide this first barracks, especially if you're going to be opting to go for something like a 1 rack CC and you're confident your opponent isn't going for a fast pull, such as Hyun, who's now grabbed a 15 hatch. But here it is. This is a proxy 2 Rex. It's going to be extremely powerful. I don't believe this was, of course, I think it was a 12-14 racks.
Yeah.
Looking at the timings of the spread here. I don't know if you exactly caught the pops, but it's not an extremely invested 2 racks. It's but it's not crazy all in, but it's going to be some very hard pressure coming Hyun's way.
It is, and the question will be how many SCVs does Gumiho decide to pull.
Yeah.
Looks like he's already starting to full wall at the top of his ramp. He's got the second supply depot there. He'll probably make a third one as he continues to press forward, but first bunker's already being put down, drone is being pulled, and there's nothing else around to do it, so it is actually going to stop the construction of the bunker and give Hyun enough time to react, and he immediately starts pulling a few more drones.
Couple of one more SCV actually just coming in right now. Nice job out of Hyun. He's going to successfully deny all of this. Will he get this SCV? Yes. SCV goes down. He'll be able to micro this injured drone safely back to home. And things put to a relative stop here by Hyun.
Yeah, he's still messing around with those drones too, trying to poke out and do a bit of additional damage. Almost loses one. Ooh. Second goes down pretty far in health too. Gumiho going to try and start a barracks, but he just can't now. Hyun delays long enough to get some Zerglings on the map. He's going to rush back and try and put a stop to these barracks. And really, the production for Gumiho is pretty well stopped. Great control out of him here, though, I have to say, to kill as many Zerglings as he possibly can. And it looks like he is actually going to fight this first round back. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, didn't lose too many Marines there. Lost 2, killed about 5 Zerglings. Good for Gumiho, excuse me. Running around those SCVs, using them kind of as a wall to play ringing around the rosy. Zerglings now going to be able to kill off a couple. And yeah, there's just a nice quantity, that critical mass, if you will, of Zerglings that they're just going to be able to kill pretty much everything. Gumiho, though, going to maximize the damage. Nice target fire on these injured Zerglings. Last one. Down to 5 hit points, and no, he wants to wait for these reinforcing Marines, which do arrive, and clean up the rest. But wow, this is just so back and forth between both players, these early game engagements, and we're going to see the toll right now. Yeah. It's actually, Gumiho has lost quite a bit more money and some workers to boot.
What he's done here, though, is that usually a Zerg player will try and test the front wall after this, after he's held off that 2 racks, and the Terran player's like, oh no, I got to lift up my barracks, I got to go back home. And he's effectively prevented that for a while, because now Hyun's got to move across the map. He can't even fight back the tide of Marines here, and that's going to allow Gumiho the flexibility he needs to just kind of sit back and play a normal game.
No, it's really, really nice. Would have had to spend a fair amount of time sitting here repairing while his barracks are flying to the other side of the map if he hadn't gotten those Marines home. So overall, yeah, really nice play out of Gumiho. But at this stage, it looks like, he's still pumping out a fair quantity of Marines. He's going to push out. Yeah, honestly, Hyun should expect this. It shouldn't really catch him that off guard. It's not uncommon by any means to have a follow-up attack from a 2-Rax, and in fact, he just opts to grab the Xel'Naga Tower and go home. He's like, all right, look, if I move out, I'm probably just going to die.
Well, I mean, there was that Zergling there, too, and it looks like, yeah, I mean, he decides he doesn't want to have to mess with that. He puts up a 3rd command center instead. Factory's on the way for him, so starting, but just a little bit slower to move into pretty normal stuff. Can we take a look at the unit count, if you don't mind? 31 workers, 24 at the moment, now 33, so Hyun's about where he should be at this stage of the game, and, you know, with the 3rd base coming up, we'll see if he decides to go into his very classic Hyun aggression build, which would involve 2 evolution chambers, then a roach horn after that, then Baneling Nest and Lair.
Yeah. Gumiho going to be pushing out a little bit with some Marines right now. Hyun, we are waiting to see these tech structures. Now he does have a 3rd hatchery about 3/4 of the way done. Roach horn going to go down here at the 7:45 mark.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I was just apologize. I wasn't jumping in. I just had to clear my throat. So, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I want to point out double starport coming down for Gumiho. So he's actually going possibly double port Banshee, which would be a little crazy at this stage of the game, but honestly is pretty effective against what Hyun usually does.
Yeah, I mean, Hyun really likes getting his upgrades. He likes getting a couple of roaches for safety, especially when he opts to take these extremely fast 3rds we were talking about. It's the first time I ever saw this build because there was a state in the meta, I look about 4 or 5 months ago, where Zergs did not take fast 3rds against Terrans. It just didn't happen. You were too vulnerable to the all sorts of early aggression. And this is just around the time when the Queens were buffed. And then we kind of saw, even prior to the Queen buff, we saw that, the Zergs realized, hey, I can take a fast 3rd. I just have to drop a Roach Horn while I do it. And then I can make a couple of Roaches if I find the need to. Right now, this Hellion's getting in a little bit of damage. He's got a couple of drones down low, tries to get the wall off there with the drone. Drone wall is not a very good type of wall. I know.
Well, if you have
the weakest in the Magic set.
If you have 3 or 4 kind of Hellions there, then drone wall is devastating, and it's horrible for you. But
yeah, it's actually just a bad thing to try to do.
Yes. Double evolution chamber, Baneling Nest, Lair, all coming up now at the same time, but Hyun has deviated from his build just a little bit. Of course, needing to play a bit of catch up. How many Banshees do we actually have out now? Because Gumiho's gearing up for a massive attack. Looks like the first 2 Banshees are just about to pop.
Yeah, just getting ready to gear up here now. Behind this, he is going for siege tanks and siege tech, so he's going to be pretty impermeable to a counterattack, at least for the first few minutes, while Hyun is busy dealing with all of this. But we've talked about Hyun's response to this before, and it's often just to ignore it and just keep making drones and keep things fairly regular. And let's also point out that his creep spread is phenomenal in order to deal with this. The only thing he's lacking is this small band here, which is definitely, something important, but he's got a nice spread out towards the front.
1-1 upgrades on the way. Centrifugal hooks is on the way. 13 more workers. I'll put him up to a total of 78. So things are looking pretty darn good for him at the moment as he takes his 4th and 5th bases. But Gumiho keeps pressing forward with that dual port Banshee build, and he's going to be able to take his 3rd, maybe put on some pressure behind this, but he is going to have a staggering amount of attack units here momentarily. He actually shows the Banshee, but just a single one, as if to say, no, I haven't forgotten about this. I'm not doing anything weird. There's still Banshees as I move to Biomech, but what Hyun doesn't realize is that there's really a lot more behind that.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty surprising when Hyun sees 4 Banshees walk into his base. Let's take a look at his vision, guys. He's looking down at the Zerglings, sees the Banshees coming in, and suddenly we see him rallying all of his Queens. He wants to immediately, we see this Queen of the Main trying to make it to safety, but will fail in doing so. Lots of Spore Crawlers going down, but the Banshee's going to be targeting down the Lair. Not too bad for Hyun to lose the Lair. He's got the Spire on the field, and it looks like, no, the Banshees are instead going to go for the Queens. Queens on the low ground, not able to drop any transfuses. They did not have the energy of necessary. Actually, that was kind of cool. Hyun tried to cancel that Spore Crawler right as it died, but Gumiho decided, I know you're going to cancel that Spore Crawler, so instead I'm going to get a free volley off on your Lair. Beautiful play there out of Gumiho. Hyun has 1 Spore Crawler, may be able to buy him a little time. Actually has a 2nd and a 3rd as well. He's going to bring him in. Will he save this Lair?
Yeah, looks like he is going to. The Lair's down to about half hit points now, so some sort of a big drop may be able to actually follow this up and do some damage. Dual Armories coming down for Gumiho as it looks like he's going to make the transition away from an unupgraded Marines into just straight up tech. Be very nice for Gumiho to be able to pick off this spawning pool, and it looks like he's going to get it.
Yeah, he will. Now diving in a little bit deep here, but there's only 1 Spore Crawler defending the Spire and the Baneling Nest. I'm actually really surprised. I guess, did he, you know what, he got a view of the Spire and is a little bit afraid of the possibility of Mutalisks at this point, which are now on the field. These Banshees are positively doomed. They should just try to get in a little bit more damage before they die. I don't even know why he's running with these. There's absolutely no point.
He's leading the Mutalisks actually back to his base, and if he had run away from those for a little while, it would have bought him a few extra seconds. Not saying he isn't preparing. He's obviously made a lot of missile turrets, but that extra 10 or 15 seconds would be the difference of this missile turret coming up.
Yeah, you know, now that's going to be a free pickoff. It's not. It doesn't even look like he's going to bother canceling it. No, 100 minerals lost on top of that. Gumiho really surprised me with a couple of these decisions right now, but yeah, Mutalisks cleaning up his main base at the moment. Will clean up that turret as well. Going to start getting off some free hits on the refinery. Marines going to try to be coming in to thwart and push away these Mutalisks.
Yeah, but of course, as we mentioned before, they're unupgraded as Gumiho just decided to make the switch over to mech. He's got some Vikings on the way, he's got Thors on the way, so a significant amount of anti-air, but Hyun's been suitably annoying with these, and that's allowed him to get his 4th and 5th bases up and running. He's actually got 10 gas established. He just needs to swap over just a few drones over to that, and he'll actually have pretty staggering gas income. For 15 minutes in the game to be working off of 10 gas geysers, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane when all of these do get fully operational like a battle station. Mutalisks coming in right now, going to be thwarted by the Thor and a couple of missile turrets as well. Lots of command centers finishing up here for Gumiho, trying to ramp up his economy as well. But I mean, it's indisputable. Gumiho's definitely in the tough spot here. Hyun's got the entire map.
Yes, he is. So Gumiho now is, he does have going for him the 3-base mech. I think he has another. Can we check inside of his main up at the top left-hand corner of it real quick? Yeah, okay, those are the command centers are coming up. So he's got more actually over at his 3rd right now. He's actually got 4 command centers in construction right now as he needed to be able to use some of those minerals. He's going to start trying to shoot these Mutalisks away, and he is going to successfully do that. Hyun, though, going to start replacing that supply on more high-tech units.
Yeah, his hive's currently on the way. He's got some insane upgrades for his melee units, and he's working on ventral sacks, which I just love versus mech. When you have the opportunity to drop on top of siege tanks and be really effective about it, I mean, it's like it's a birthday. You've got a big smile on your face. You feel like you're blowing out candles and opening presents. So there we go. Roach is going to be loading up into the Overlords, getting ready for the attack. Now, there are a few siege tanks up here at the natural. We see 4. We see 4 at the 3rd as well, but none of that is enough to deal with the quantity of Roaches that are about to come in. Muta's going to be tanking a couple of shots here as the Overlords drop a shadow over everything that they're about to destroy.
That's right. This is still pretty risky for Hyun, though, because this is a high risk-to-reward ratio. If this works out for him, which it looks like it's doing a pretty good job, then he is going to be in a fantastic spot, but he has the potential to lose a lot of resources here without getting that much in return. And a lot of the Overlords have actually fallen, but he's effectively denied a base of mining. Now, of course, Gumiho did finish up a lot more command centers. You see all those orbital commands flying around, so he does actually have enough to be able to replenish the economy that was lost, and he didn't lose too much of his production. So Gumiho certainly going to have an opportunity to be able to rally his way back from this.
Really, really nice out of Gumiho chasing these Overlords with his Vikings while he's playing defense. He's actually going to kill almost every single one of Hyun's Overlords. He's almost supply blocked. It will definitely be in just a moment as these Vikings continue to clean up Ovi after Ovi. And wow, this is just doing so much damage. But notice that the bank for Hyun is very heavy on the minerals. He's got 10 Overlords currently in production. It looks like he honestly just had given up on those and just left them in the corner.
Yeah, which is a little bit sad because that is still significant damage done. But like I said, Gumiho was able to recover from that just fine. And now if he can get a couple more gas mining here over at his 4th, maybe his 5th base, he's going to be in a lot better spot. Now, the real advantage for Hyun, of course, is his gas income. He's been working off of those 10 extractors for a while. He's going to be able to put up 1 million corruptors and Broodlords basically as soon as this Greater Spire is finished up.
Roach running around right now. We can see that several command centers and barracks are going to form a wall off here for Gumiho. And it looks like he just wants to get himself to the utmost latest possible stages of this game. But the reality is he's going to need a lot more turrets than this if he is going to continue to defend against ventral sacks. You know, we see, I mean, look, all right, here's a wall off like in the lane, here's a wall off in the lane. So it's great, you know, you can defend against ground forces, but can you defend against ground forces when they're loaded in Overlords? Well, no, not at this moment. So he's going to need to work on that if he wants to honestly make all of this worth the while.
Yes, Corvid Reactor being researched right now for Gumiho, though, and he's going to move over to Secret Missile in a second. So he wants that energy built up for those Ravens. I'm so happy. Of course, it could just have the boring use of being for little bit quicker point defense drones for now to help against the Corruptors, but we see 2 more starports on the way, and this is the Gumiho that I know and love in the late game. As he's now taken 5 bases, he's making 1 million command centers. He really does have a lot of those out on the map, and Hyun also taking the entire map as well. So we may be in for an extremely long game here.
Yeah, it's really gearing up for that. Gumiho is just going to turtle up as Terran Mech does so well, and Hyun is going to macro. He's going to macro a lot. Looks like he's going to throw away a couple of roaches right now. Not really sure as to his purpose here. I mean, he's not even close to maxed out, but there's no way these roaches are making a gnome. So now at this stage, oh, nope, actually the Banshees decide not to chase. But yeah, it's going to be Hyun grabbing up a lot more of the map and maybe dropping some Nidus Swarms over here. We'll find out in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really effective way for him to take bases and put pressure on his opponents. Looks like an Overlord did kind of sneak in there, but it got cleaned up very quickly. Confirms the fact that Gumiho has effectively taken his half of the map, but, you know, Hyun has the potential to do some damage here, and you're pointing out a spot he could actually drop in a Nidus Swarm there if he wants to expend those resources on it. And a fusion core is being made, so we're going to see some battle cruisers.
Oh, yes, we are. Gumiho sacking some Marines here, clearing up a little bit of supply. Now, he's not sitting on all that much gas at the moment, but his gas income is going to be really ramping up. We could see these refineries only started for the last minute.
He has 8 workers on that refinery, which is a little bit much, but hopefully he'll take care of that here in a bit. Doesn't really need the mineral income. Oh, and that's a lot of dead Hellions in the middle.
A little bit of a loss there for Gumiho. Got almost nothing done with those whatsoever. A little bit of damage done to the infestors, but that's about it. 165 supply right now for FXO Gumiho. TSL Hyun getting ready to make an attack move as he has, well, 7 or 8 Broodlords here, a large number of Corruptors, and some infestors to accompany them.
These are just 550 mineral blockers up at the front there, those those command centers, but we can see that the Air Force for Gumiho is getting a position now. Point defense drone effectively blocking out a lot of the shots from the Corruptors, and that allows the Vikings to get a little bit better engagement. Yet losing a little bit here and starting to replace his army with infestors so we can deal with large clump groups of units. Does manage to sneak out and capture a few Ravens off to the right-hand side, but they've already dropped down their precious point defense drone cargo, and that should allow Gumiho to get the best possible engagement that he can, but Hyun may just have too much stuff.
Yeah, these fungal growths are being dropped on like 2. Oh, there's a decent one. Gets a number. Oh, gets 5 Vikings with that. But yeah, I was really lacking. The fungal growths were not hitting much. We saw a couple go down that hit only 2 or 3 Vikings. Really wanted to protect these infestors, but now he's kind of going balls to the wall with them, diving all the way in with no energy at all on them. There's 2 infested Terrans, and that's about it. Coming in with some reinforcements, though, as these are going to help. Gumiho with a big hole in his wall right now, and Hyun kind of just camping in it.
Yeah, so let's see here if he can actually take out these infestors pretty cost efficiently with the rest of what he has. There's not a lot of splash damage on the ground. Oh, there it is. The tanks are all off to the right-hand side, and so the Zerglings are going to have to avoid that. If the Zerglings had tried to run through there, they would have just been obliterated. And Hyun loses so many infestors. That's a slaughter in the middle of the map. Zerglings are going to try and swing in from behind now, and they are actually going to be able to make it into the third.
That was quite an engagement. Look at the kills on these tanks. They have just done so much damage. 31 kills on this lower one. It is a commander. Gumiho, though, losing his stable position in the middle. Hyun has kind of actually split Gumiho into 2 halves. He's got the half on the right over here with siege tanks and lots of command centers, and he's going to be landing in starports. And then the half on the left, which Hyun is now going to be doing a massive amount of damage to. Fungal growths, infested Terrans going down absolutely everywhere. Would love to see him burrow these infestors, at least force a scan, instead of just sacking them all at this stage. Vikings going to be landing, doing what he can here.
Yeah, I mean, Hyun has been awfully cavalier with these infestors, if I have to say. It looks like the Queen's finally going to start fighting back against this. Those Zerglings aren't going anywhere, and they're not going there in a hurry, as the Blue Flame Hellions and Siege Tanks up at the top are going to be able to stop that no problem. Infestors backing out now, and Hyun has lost a lot of supply. He has limited his opponent's production for a while. Can we bring up the economy, the income tab for both these guys? Let's see here. So, actually a bit better for Gumiho at the moment, although Hyun's working off of 12 gas geysers, and soon to be 14, so.
Such an incredible amount of Vespene flowing in right now. And he's still mining off the extractors in his main with only 100 left, mind you, but he is mining off of almost every single possible extractor on the entire map at this point. The only ones still available to him are these island expansions, which I really don't know that he's going to have to take. He's done such, he's dealt such a crippling blow, to Gumiho. I don't know. It's going to be very difficult for Gumiho to recover from this.
Well, Gumiho's attacking both both of the inside bases down at the bottom right and the top left. Looks like these Hellions are actually going to be able to pretty efficiently take out all of the gas mining that's being done here. So nice job there. Hyun does clean that up as he tries to saturate that with a few more units, but so far, Gumiho has done a pretty decent amount of damage in trying to come back from this. He's got a lot of minerals banked up. He needs maybe a few more production facilities here in just a bit. Still a pretty decent force. Can we see the worker count overall? It's 44 to 80, so armies are not that far apart from each other.
Yeah, it's really the advantage for Hyun at this stage was the amount of money that he was bringing in, but he seems to be spending it all pretty efficiently. As you know, Gumiho's the one right now sitting on 2,000 minerals. He's got a lot of supply that he could fill up, but unfortunately going for mech gas often tends to be the limiting agent if you guys took chemistry when you were in school.
Yes, limiting agents, anything besides balancing equations with just black magic to me in chemistry. So I got balancing equations because I was a math minor, but that was it. So, all right. Well, 2-2 upgrades for the air coming out now for Gumiho as he, is planning to launch on that full air. Terran, he did build that fusion core. I don't know if it was killed or something like that, but we haven't seen any battle cruisers quite yet.
Yeah, I'm honestly, Gumiho, can he afford that? Even if he can. It's not a stage where you really want to invest into it until you get those upgrades for your air weapons, because battle cruisers are probably one of the units in out of the entire game that benefit the most out of upgrades.
Right, I agree with that. That's actually a very good point. But he is getting 2-2 now, so we should be able to move into those if we really, really, really go late in this game. Can we look at the efficiency of mining here over at the fourth for Gumiho? Because I think, is he missing a couple of workers off there? Because he was a second ago. Okay, now looks like he's okay. And now the engagement's actually starting to move in as the units are actually just going to be dropped onto the high ground here inside of this base. A lot of command centers sitting there. They are immediately going to lift off, but a lot of the mining here is going to be forfeit.
A couple of siege tanks being sieged. Nope, all of them going to siege up and obliterate that Zerg line. But the reality behind this is that damage is already being done. Most of the workers have been killed inside this base. And we see that very little mining is currently occurring for Gumiho. So the longer Hyun can keep Gumiho in this position and just kill a tank here, a Hellion there, he's going to be able to slowly pick the meat off of what is remaining of Gumiho's bones.
What is that flying around in the top left-hand corner? There was something that's flying around the island. Looks like it's just two Vikings. They're patrolling around looking for some overlords. That overlord in particular is actually going to get picked off. A little bit of gas mining is stopped once again, and Gumiho really does need to think about taking one of these bases here at the island, because he's going to need some more gas income in a second, unless he just plans to replace on nothing but Hellions, which do nothing against Ultralisks.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough for Gumiho to hold. Of course, guys, Ultralisks, because of how large they are, also reduce the damage you're going to see exacted because of the splash damage offered by the Crucio Shock Cannon on these tanks. So overall, I mean, with the addition of these Ultras, it's going to be a really big, really powerful attack. He's probably just going to dive into it because he's sitting on 200 supply right now with a huge bank. Hyun can make a massive attack. It's going to do a ton of damage to Gumiho, maybe even kill him. But if it doesn't, Hyun's going to be able to rinse and repeat.
Yeah, because of that gas income, he can actually reproduce. I mean, he's got almost the perfect amount of resources to just make 25 infestors as soon as this is done.
Yeah.
So he will be able to replenish that army very quickly. Corruptor's trying to pick off these Vikings, which are patrolling back and forth in the top left-hand corner. Doesn't look like they're going to find anything. In fact, this creep is starting to recede now as Gumiho plans to eventually start taking that. Oh, he's actually attacking down at the bottom right, though. A lot of Hellions coming through, and they don't even care that they're being attacked by Spinecrawlers and that they're inefficient. They're just going to try and power their way through this and start disrupting economy.
Yeah, Ultralist does spawn. It's going to be able to, as you said, you know, Hellion's not so good against that, but you can see the siege tanks, even though siege will begin to take it out there. It does fall. Ultra is now falling back from some Ravens, from some tanks and Hellions, but where is the fight actually going to occur?
Oh, secret missile, I think it's going on to that army. No, okay, yeah, there it is. Okay, hits a lot of the Corruptors. Corruptors actually going down to just one hit point apiece. Very, very low. The Raven wasn't able to get in there and get that perfect secret missile and take out a bunch of infestors.
Yeah, that was really nice for Hyun, making sure that he backed up quickly enough and didn't even allow all of these Corruptors, although they're solo. He's just going to morph them into Broodlords anyways. +3 vehicle attack is wrapping up this expansion, has fallen for Hyun. He doesn't seem to really care about that too much. He's sitting on 4,000 gas, 3,000 minerals at this moment, and it's going to be a lot greater concern for Gumiho that he's going to be able to hold on as this push does come to his front gates.
Yeah, I would think that Gumiho would just float an orbital command up to the top left-hand corner. It looks like he is, but it's kind of sitting in the middle right now, so we'll see. Well, Well, no, I don't know where that's going, but top left-hand corner would be nice if it can get up and over the island. We see an attack or some more patrolling dots down in the bottom right-hand corner, too, as both these players are just kind of maxed out and hoping for opportunities to be able to gain an advantage. And actually, as Hyun moves through here, Gumiho is actually going to move through the top left-hand corner to the 6th base of his opponent, too. So Hyun already being pushed back, and he's taking more economic damage. Yeah,
not the best engagement angle there for Hyun, trying to come in through this thin bottleneck behind the vent fogs. You know, this is a position where Gumiho is extremely fortified and more than prepared to have the engagement, but the Broodlord's going to present a little bit of a challenge. He doesn't have a huge amount of anti-air. We see 7 Vikings right now. A couple of Corruptors can be able to defend against this. The Seeker missiles doing very nice damage to the Broodlords. More Vikings coming in from the left.
Beautiful
this is
flank.
So good out of Gumiho.
Oh, that was just a gorgeous flank, and now Hyun's being pushed back at the same time that Gumiho's trying to take the islands as well. So Gumiho really dealing with this pretty efficiently. We're 35 minutes into this game, and the things are still very even though Gumiho ekes himself out in advantage. 12 more Broodlords are on the way, and I mean, it's really going to come down to when these armies come to a head, when they actually engage and straight up fight each other.
Well, Gumiho putting him in a position where that may be possible right now. He does take out this 5th base. Will he fall back from here and refortify once again? He's kind of just sitting here in a very vulnerable place. Hyun is going to be moving forward, and Gumiho is going to be falling back as he does scan right on top of Hyun's army.
Yeah, so that forces Hyun back, but he did just finish up, like I said, another 12 Broodlords. He's got 8 more Infestors. He's got +3 flyer attacks. The Viking count continues to increase. I'm sorry, not the Viking. There's our first battlecruiser. The Raven count continues to increase for Gumiho as he continues to press up and make sure that he adds on more and more Seeker missiles, which are so effective at zoning out units.
Well, Hyun is kind of just posturing to like back and forth from the right to the left. There's really not any units over here to the left. There's like 2 siege tanks. That's pretty much it. So I am surprised that Hyun hasn't committed to an engagement in there. Remember, he does have Ventral Sex. He does have Nidus Worm. So if he went on a rampage, hold that thought. Fungal Growth on so many tanks right now. Gumiho still doesn't have a lot of money, guys. Those are not moves he can be affording to make. Ultra is coming in right now, trying to get in some damage, but they don't make too many connections before they're taken out. Only 1 Ultra is still remaining. Broodling's even getting in its way, but all the tank count for Gumiho is rapidly plummeting.
Yes, it is, but so is the Broodlord count, so is the Infestor count for Hyun. So there is a potential for Gumiho to try and move in and officially engage this. I'm not sure where his Ravens are at. First Broodlord is just about ready to pop up too. These tanks have actually done a pretty decent job at sustaining against the units on the ground, but now we can see the energy is mostly out for Hyun on these forces, but he's done a good job at whittling down the units from Gumiho and may just be able to press on forward here.
This is where you really would like to have some Zerglings. Oh, and Hyun starts them up. That's perfect. Because, you know, the tanks, they're unsieged. They're just kind of on the retreating path. But here's the battle cruiser we were talking about earlier, the one that's been made all game. We've been waiting for it forever, guys. Finally does pop out. Gumiho has an answer, doesn't have much of an answer though to these just the incredible quantity of Infestors right now. Traps one of the siege tanks, going to take out a few additional units here. Will these Infested Terrans? And you know what? The GG is going to have to go down for Gumiho as he just is completely starved out of minerals.
That's right, and Hyun has taken that game from a 31. Let's see, we had a 24-minute game, then a 31-minute game, then a 38-minute game. I'm detecting a trend. Our next game is going to be 45 minutes. So, wow, really impressive performance, though. Hyun has taken yet another game, and TSL is actually just 1 game away from making sure that they stay in Premier Division next season.
Yeah, we'll see if he can secure it in this next one. Guys, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. I'm going to replenish my glycogen stores.
And up next for FXO, it's Leenock.
Leenock versus Hyun coming up next, folks. Don't go anywhere, well, for more than 120 seconds. We'll be back.